Free TV, in association with GetOutOfDebtFree.org.
Most of you have met me before. My name's Andy, and on the Get Out of Debt Free website I go by Freeman Andy 26, but tonight I'd like you to call me Susan. What are you laughing for? No, seriously, what are you laughing for?
We bet judges like that.
Now, most of you think that's a girl's name, but what I'm going to say to you today is no name has a gender.
That's true.
You want me to prove it? Do looks, male or female. Ford, male or female. You see, they're all names. Nottingham City Council, male or female. All of these are names, but none of them have a gender.
The person doesn't carry a gender.
The point is that it's put upon you. It's a title added to something. And once something's given a title, they've got control over you. Every time you get approached by somebody who thinks they've got authority over you, what do they say? Me as a man, they say, "Excuse me, sir." When you hear that, think cur. Think they're calling you a dog. Be outraged. Say to them, "Who the hell are you talking to? How dare you talk to me like that? I've got no title. What do you think you're doing?" Because as soon as you answer it and go, "Yes," you've created joiner. They called you something and you've answered to it. The point is that names have power. And the names that they give you are not yours. You were born free. And for a few days you will probably remain free. And then your parents called you a name. But they did worse than that. They actually created a con on you and they registered that name. Now everybody knows that once you register something, you've voluntarily given it away. You don't believe me? Have a look at your car logbook. Does it say you're the owner? No, it says that you're the registered keeper. Why are you the registered keeper? Because you registered it. What happens when you get a new home? Say you buy a new build home. The first thing the lawyers want you to do is register that property. They say to you, "Oh, you must register it with the land registry." So you ring up the land registry, and this is the crazy thing. The first thing they say to you is, "To register this property, could you please send us your deeds to prove you're the owner?" Well, if I've got the deeds to prove I'm the owner, why would I be giving them to you? So that you can register it. You've voluntarily given them the deeds to your property. And what happens then? You become on the land register a tenant. No longer the owner. You're a tenant. Everything registered's given away. They're not giving, your parents didn't give you away. They couldn't give you that. You know, they're expected to raise you. They didn't go, "Oh yeah, we'll put this in a jiffy bag and send it off." There you go. Oh, and here's the name, just in case you want to call it something. Like, "Can we have it back when it's 18, when it's going to go work?" No, they give the name away. The name becomes registered. And with that name, they create a bond, a corporation. Now, any corporation is worthless if it's just a name. It has to have value. Why do you weigh a baby at birth? Now, the midwife will tell you it's so that we've got a starting point and we'll know if the child's thriving and growing. Is it? No good mother or father doesn't know when their own child isn't thriving. They know if there's something wrong with their kid. How many times have you heard of a parent going to a hospital and saying, or a doctor saying, "There's something wrong with the kid," and the doctor goes, "Oh no, it's just a virus." "No, I know my child, there's something wrong with it, do something." No, they weigh the child so that they can give it a value in gold.
Yeah, weight in gold, that's where
now you have everything you need for a corporation or a bond to be traded on the world market. First of all, you have the parent company that created it, your mum and dad. That's why the names are on the birth certificate. You have the name of the new... You have only one, yes. Then you have the name of the new corporation, your name, that you think's your name. And now you have value to the bond. Because nobody's going to buy a piece of paper that's worthless. You're going to buy something that has value. It has £7, 2 ounces in gold. Now you think to yourself, okay, that's great, but nobody wants to buy a bond that isn't going to increase in value. So how do you get it to increase? Well, up until about 5, nothing really happens. You know, that's just going to be worth the amount of gold that's on that bond. The second thing happens at 5 is you start school. And once you start school, you now add value, because you go into school and the first thing that happens on the first day is the teacher tells you to answer the registration. That word again, giving stuff away. You are now adding value to that bond. Every day you go to school, the school gets paid, but it gets paid in a name which is linked to the bond. So a small amount goes to it. In other words, the school acts as agents for the bond. Now, who owns these bonds? Well, it's the Crown Corporation. The City of London Crown Corporation. It says when you get the long birth certificate. Now, I've heard this argument many times before about, I've got my birth certificate at home and it says nothing about it being copyrighted. Yeah, it's a receipt you've got. Because that's what your parents get, it's the handwritten bit. Now you say, okay, but it's not got receipt written on it. Well, I went to Halfords today and I bought a multi-point plug for my car. I got a receipt for it. Didn't say anywhere on it, receipt, but I know it's a receipt. Your parents got a receipt for something of value, your name. Doesn't mean they own you, but they do expect you to add value to that name, to that bond. So all through your schooling, you're adding value to that name by answering the registration. The school get paid for you being there, and that adds value to the bond. Then they ask you to register in a name that doesn't belong to you, so committing fraud, to get a national insurance number. And the national insurance number is linked again to the bond. So that now that bond increases in value every time you earn a wage. You go to work. Or if you don't go to work, if there's something wrong with you, your disability or something, and you have to claim, you're claiming through the national insurance number, which adds value to the bond. So the bond grows and it's sold all around the world. And this is the main reason why you will never, ever, ever see the birth certificate. You'll get a certified copy of the birth certificate. You may still have the receipt birth certificate, but you'll never get to see the original birth certificates, because I think if you did, it'd make you cry. The value in it, and all the stamps on it from different banks and corporations all around the world that have owned it at some point. But the point is that you're committing fraud every time you pick up that name and say it's you. Every time you open a bank account, register with the council, go to the doctor, ask for a passport, buy a car, buy a house, all in a legal name that doesn't belong to you because it's Crown copyrighted and the copyright holder is the one that owns that name, you've committed fraud. It's called legal name fraud. It doesn't mean you haven't got a name. As I said, call me Susan, call me anything you like. Just don't call me a name that doesn't belong to me. Now, if I get approached by somebody at my house, they knock on the door, I'm looking for Andrew. Oh, good luck with that. Well, who are you? Well, I'm me. Yeah, but what's your name? I'm sorry, I don't give personal information out to strangers at my door. But I'm not a stranger, I'm a policeman. Do I know you? No. Well, that's what a stranger is. Go away. Don't own up to being something you're not. It's fraud. You get yourself a driving licence. What have you done? One, you've committed fraud because you've said that this is my name and I clearly don't own the copyright to it, so fraud. Two, you buy a car and then you get given a piece of paper in lieu of the car. You've just become, instead of the owner of the vehicle, you've become the registered keeper. Now, can you get in the piece of paper and go to the shops? No, but you can get in the physical car and go to the shops. There's a way to stop all of this. It's so simple. Just keep putting stuff back in the post with addressee not known, addressee not recognised, addressee deceased. Because the truth of the matter is that it's a piece of paper. It's dead. Think of an absolute truth here. Nobody has ever received a piece of mail. Ever. Your name has, Your name gets pieces of paper all the time, but it's not even yours. So think of it as a live cobra that comes through your letterbox, or a hot coal. Every time you pick it up, it's going to bloody hurt you. It's going to bite you, or it's going to burn you. So don't deal with them. Get yourself some nice big long tongs to handle it with. Put a label over it. Cover up the window. Stop being a peeping Tom and looking through windows at other people's names. Because that's what you are. When a letter comes with a window, it's not complete. Finish the letter, put a label over it, and now there's only one address on it, the one it came from. Put it back in the post, it's not mine. But here's another little twist to the addressee not recognised. How about writing on the front of the envelope, please redirect to the legal owner of this name? Why not let every piece of post go to the legal owner of the name, the copyrighted name? Let it go to the City of London Crown Corporation. It's not yours. You never got a piece of paper. You got an envelope addressed to somebody else. And now here's the other kicker. What's an address? An address is a letterbox, it's not your home. You put a new door on your house without a letterbox. Did the house disappear? No, but the address did. So you say to yourself, right, okay, if I've not got a letterbox, and let's be honest, every evil that's done to you, there's an old saying that there's a kernel of the downfall of evil that works within the evil done. So, you know how they say that it doesn't matter how dark it is, the smallest candle will banish it. There's a postal act that says that all properties must have a letterbox. Why? Well, it's because you set up your house and you secure yourself. You say, right, I've got deadbolts on, I've got locks on, I've got CCTV cameras, I've got alarm systems, you know, I'm safe, and my house is safe when I go away from it. Yet you leave one little portal open so that the Crown Corporation can come and raid your house 6 days a week. That would be like building a castle with a moat and a drawbridge and a little door at the side left open. And everybody's saying, don't worry about that door, nobody ever hears that door, they'll never get into the castle with that little door. That letterbox is for them to shut that so that you're open for commerce. You're open to be abused. And it is abuse. They're sending you post that is basically hate mail. When was the last time you got a piece of mail that said something really nice? When was the last time you got a piece of mail that said, we think you're a top bloke, here's a round trip round the world cruise and £1 million to go and spend? Never happened. But every day you'll get one that says, we want money off you, you're not doing what we told you. Oh, here's a speeding ticket, because you've got a licence, now you've got to obey our rules. But they're not in my name. They didn't come to me, they came to my name. And it's not mine. It was copyrighted to somebody else. Stick it back in the post. Get rid of your letterbox. Now all of a sudden, nobody can send you the email. You've finished securing your property. Now nobody can do anything against you. Within 3 months of you closing your letterbox, do you know what happens? The post office cancels your address.
It's actually 3 days.
It's 3 days, is it? Well,
Yeah.
it was 3 something.
They send it back, yeah.
But it goes to the central sorting office, and what they do is what you were going to do, which was send it back in the post. They send it back to the people who sent it. And they say, with a little sticker on it, usually orange and a tick sheet on it, and it says on it, addressee unavailable.
Undeliverable.
That's what, yeah.
Undeliverable. You can't be found. Your address is gone. Nobody's sending you hate mail anymore. Oh, and you know how the little kernel of the downfall is in the evil done to you? Well, the legislation, and let's be honest, legislation has nothing to do with me, but legislation that says the Royal Mail have to have somewhere to deliver it to, in other words, you have to have a letterbox. Who are they going to send that to? Seriously, you've got no letterbox and they want to do you for not having a letterbox. Where do they send it? Oh yeah, central sorting office, and then it goes back to the person who sent it in the first place. Just remember that you are not a zombie. What is a zombie? A zombie is the Walking Dead. Every time you pick up the legal name, you give a dead fiction life. You've become a zombie. And everybody you know, more or less, not necessarily this room full of people, but the people you meet on a daily basis are zombies. We are living in a zombie apocalypse right now because everybody's believing that their illegal name that doesn't belong to them, that's dead. They're walking around as a dead fiction. It's like saying the clothes I'm wearing are alive because they move when I move and they look like they have life. But if I took them off and put them on the table, and you don't want that to happen.
Prove it! Prove it!
Do not want that to happen. Which is alive, the body or the clothes? The clothes only look alive because I put them on. Now we get fooled all the time. We realise that we deal with people who want to hurt us. Courts are necromancers. They deal in raising the dead. That's why they wear black. Every time, have you never watched your Hammer House of Horror films? Where they all tell, I am going to raise the dead, you know, some Vincent Price, and they've always got the black cowls on, or they've got the high coloured one, which is the judge, he's the main necromancer in the court. But what do they say? I summons you to appear in court. And you go along and go, that's my name. No, it's not, you liar. It's Crown copyrighted and you've just committed fraud, so you're already guilty. Now what can we do to you? And they'll patiently listen to every bit of argument that you give. And they'll patiently nod their heads at wise words, and you've written it down, and you've used all the right spells you think to do away with it. And they're just peacefully sitting there waiting for you to shut up so that they can throw the book at you. Because you've already said, I'm dead. I'm not a living entity. Now, have you ever heard of the flat worlders? Those that, you know, supposed to, hundreds of years ago, believed that the world was flat and if you went too far you'd fall off the edge. Never happened. It's a whole myth. Full ball of wool. But nowadays, there are a lot of people that do live on a flat world. Because I live in a 3D world. I interact with those who live in a 4D world actually, because they live in time as well. But I live with these people who I can touch and interact with and speak to and be spoken back to. And these people who don't know that they're not a piece of paper are living in a 2D world because they are the piece of paper. And a piece of paper is flat. You live in a flat world. Ever seen a map of the world with all the countries drawn on? Have you ever flown over land and seen those lines on it? It's not there. Because it only exists in a flat world, on a flat piece of paper. So stop being a zombie, stop living in a flat world and realise who you are. When you get to court and they say, what, we're doing you for council tax because you live at this property. No, I don't. Oh, don't you live at this property? Where do you live? Here. I live here. Every time this flesh suit goes somewhere, funnily enough, that's where I live. Doesn't mean I'm homeless, I have a home, but it doesn't mean I live there. Odin said earlier that he lives here. That's fine, he's alive at the moment. Don't ever leave the county, because he'll be dead. Is there anybody here who's self-employed? You're self-employed? No such thing. Can't happen. You'd have to split yourself into two. How could one employ another? You'd be schizophrenic. What happened was, I decided to create a fiction and then go and work for that fiction. But the worst of it is I registered the fiction so that I could then pay tax on the labour that I do. Seriously, you'd be locked up if you explain this to people. They'd say, well, this guy's nuts. But there's nothing wrong with working for yourself for your own benefit. We do it all the time. Ever cooked yourself a meal? Ever washed your car? Ever mowed your lawn? You did all of that effort and all of that work for your own benefit. Did you ever decorate your own property? When you did you then ring up the tax man and go, yeah, I've just decorated the front room, how much do I owe you? They'd go, sorry? Sorry, sir, Kurt, sorry. Wait, I've just decorated the front room. I mean, I'm guessing, what, 33%, so probably the end wall's yours. What are you talking about? Go away. Well, I cooked a meal yesterday. What do I owe you for that? No. You'd be mad. You'd stupid. Just like believing names have genders. You would be this crazy if you think that names have genders. You would be sat on a shale beach, picking up stones going, male, male, female, male. Oh, female, nearly put you in the wrong pile. Anybody see you do that, they'd lock you up. A stone is a thing. It's not got genitals. It's not got an agenda any more than a colour has, or an idea, or a name. They're given titles to make you think in a certain way. Once you stop thinking in that way, all of a sudden, what happens is what you've always wanted. To be free, to be left alone, stop people harassing you. Send it back, get rid of the letterbox, or better still, just put on the envelope, please redirect to the legal owner of this name. See what happens. Have fun with it. Your only imagination is going to stop you from having fun with this. And one important thing is, stop carrying around wallets and purses full of things that prove you're a fraud. ID, pieces of plastic. Do you know what I've noticed in the last probably 10 years is the proliferation of lanyards. You know those tags around with the plastic? You see it all the time. You see the office people walking down and not only got the tie, which to be quite honest was a guy's invention to let women know that we've only got one erogenous zone. It's just a big arrow. You know? But now they put a lanyard round to say, I'm a dog, and here's my tag to say I'm good, but if I get lost, can you send me here? You know, it's my name. It's not my name. It's a little piece of plastic to say, I'm a slave to the Crown Corporation, and here's the name that doesn't belong to me, but I'm going to answer to it. Anyway, my name's been Susan. Thanks for listening.
Debt Free TV, in association with GetOutOfDebtFree.org.